São Paulo! Vocês estão prontos para ver o começo do campeonato de League of Legends do Nexus Masters Brasil? Muito bom, então... Eu sei que vocês estão com pressa, vocês querem ver logo os jogos, então vamos dar boas-vindas ao primeiro time, vamos fazer bastante barulho. Please welcome Next Impetus! Eu tô aqui com o jogador de suporte. I'm here with the support player for Next Impetus, Aloxman. Aloxman, como é que foi a viagem? Vocês estão aqui há quanto tempo? How was the trip? How long were you been here in São Paulo?
A viagem foi ótima, a gente tá aqui desde segunda-feira, treinando na Arena X5, junto com a KD. Isso.
The trip was great and we were here since Monday and we've been training with the Kai team. So yeah, that's good. Alox, você tá confiante que você vai ganhar? Are you confident that you win everything?
Tenho certeza que a gente vai chegar nas finais, a gente vai passar das fases de grupos, a gente tá bem confiante. Temos estratégia para cada um dos times, estudamos muito para isso, estamos bem preparados.
Então, boa sorte. He's very confident about everything and they will reach the finals and have strategies for everything. Ok, pessoal? Dê uma salva de palmas pro Alox. E agora, para começar a partida do time A, agora a gente vai com o time opositor deles. Pen Game aqui, vem comigo o Mitch, support player. Mitch, o que você acha do que o Alox falou? What do you think about what Alex just said?
Eu acho que eles estão confiantes também, como a gente também tá. A gente sabe que a gente é capaz de ganhar de qualquer time se a gente jogar certo. Então, vamos pra cima pra tentar ganhar dos times deles.
I think he's very confident. We are as well. And we have strategies for them as well. And we can win this whole thing. So, let's go for it. Ok, Mitch, muito obrigado. Thank you. Good luck. E agora a gente vai para análise em inglês, lá para a mesa. Então, now we are going to our English analysis desk, and please stay tuned in.
Yes, thank you very much. That is the main stage here at Sao Paulo. It's fantastic to be in Brazil for the Intel Extreme Masters Brazil, the final stop on our tour around the world. With me is Rivington and Freak from Riot Games, of course. Welcome, guys. It's pretty warm.
Yeah,
but,
a little bit.
That guy, let's just talk about the hat. I mean,
it's a good hat.
It's a good hat, right?
I'm a fan.
Yeah, I'm already a fan. So, lots to talk about before we get underway with our first game. We're going to get underway with Group A today, of course, and we're going to kick off with a Brazilian matchup. These two going head-to-head. And I wonder, and this might be controversial to start with, but is this the battle of the teams that, you know, the loser effectively is ill? Would that be fair?
I don't know. Like, I think really anything is possible, especially in a best-of-one group stage. You really can have just sort of upsets and sort of come from behind victories. You look at last weekend, right?
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, Giants takes out Fnatic, and Fnatic is almost out of the entire tournament. And they were the number one favorite team there. They were like the shoe-in for the European Regional LCS, and they nearly got kicked out. So you really can't count out any single team.
Okay. Riv, where's your money? I mean, it's difficult to put money on this kind of game, isn't it? But where is it?
Well, my beard's money is on none of them qualifying. But for all intents and purposes of the matches, you know, being in Vietnam for the regional qualifiers there, and we have more regions here competing. It's not just Brazil trying to make it out and see who's the best
absolutely.
here. But they had that game for 7 months in beta. And one of the teams that played the least was able to beat one of the teams that played the most in other regions and other servers on other realms. So it's really anybody's game, any given Sunday.
Okay. The other teams in this group are Millennium and Meet Your Makers as well. And Pain and Next Impetus make up that Group A. Group A is LG, IEM, and Nexus, Keyed, and Insight Esports, which we'll see all of those games tomorrow as well.
Scary group.
A little scary group for everyone that isn't LG, IEM.
Yeah.
I guess. But we are going to focus on Group A today. Also, we want to talk about who's qualified, because this is a qualification tournament, of course, and it is the final one of the season. So who's going to the CeBIT World Championship in March? Well, 9 teams have already qualified, which is the good news. Picks and bans are about to get underway, so we'll get through this quickly if we can. It's a mathematical nightmare, honestly.
But you did it.
I don't know.
Figured
I'm
it
not
out.
going to take the credit for doing this. There's some very clever people back at ESL office that managed to make this work for me. But basically, SK Telecom T1, Mio Makers, Gambit Gaming, Absolute Legends, Fnatic, SK Gaming, Azubu Blaze, all guaranteed to qualify for the World Championship. Also, CLG EU, who of course are now Evil Geniuses. So they've qualified by not even being here. That's a miraculous thing. What's even more miraculous is that Azubu Frost, who finished 3rd, 4th in Katowice a couple of weeks ago, have also qualified. Now, if you look at the rankings on the Intel Extreme Masters website, you'll probably be thinking, well, how does that work? There are 4 teams tied. So it goes on a count back, and we know that only 4 teams can beat those 8 that are here today. So Azubu Frost can't be caught by more than 2 teams. I hope that's clear. They can only tie. Katowice was the strongest stop by merit of the most amount of ranking points from the highest teams that earned them. So Azubu Frost are guaranteed, which leaves 3 spots here. So there's still 3 spots to play for. We know the winner goes already, but where are those other 2 spots going to come from? That's the real story this weekend.
Yep, it's going to be really interesting. We've got really a good chance, and I'm going to actually move my screen over because I actually started messing with PvPnet before we even started. So. Beautiful. There we go. We got picks and bans ready. But yeah, so I think it really can be anyone's game here. Again, the group stage being best of 1, anyone really can put on a great performance here and really turn things around. Certainly people are expecting Millennium and Meet Your Makers to come through as the top 2 of this group, but it really can go either way. You've got 2 really all-star Brazilian teams here. Pain is really known as the #1 Brazilian team, but they almost never really perform on LAN, whereas Nexus, they've got like the best bottom lane in all of Brazil, and they're confident actually coming into this one.
And that's one of the big things you got to factor in here is LAN. We talk about it every time. D-Man talked about it at the NALCS qualifiers. It's huge, and this is not your home setup. We'll have to see what these guys pull out for some picks here, Freak. You talked a little bit about Pain. They've got a great team coming in here, but Nex as well, that bot lane has been together for 8 months.
And that's just so really, really powerful in general. You look back at pretty much most League of Legends matches overall, and it's the team that has the most cohesion that tends to turn it out in the end. The individual skill gets you ahead in lanes, and if you know jungle top lane has really good synergy, they can start winning top lane together. But it's the team that fights 5-on-5s well, or just sort of the lanes in general that have the most synergy, that just tend to win out despite rough early games, and that's always really important.
So there's one other story between these 2 teams. Obviously, they're both Brazilian teams. The first one is that BRTT was obviously a former Counter-Strike professional player, very well known in Brazil. In fact, I think his team said that he was the superstar. They play for him. They give him the kills. They do everything for him. But there's a little bit of rivalry between these 2 because he replaced, if I'm not mistaken, Minaj, didn't he, in Pain? So. And apparently they don't like each other. So I'm told, secretly, that if one of them kills the other one, they're going to stand up and they're going to give them some grief.
All right. I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping we can find that. Someone put up the flip phone up in the front and just, wait for those kills. First one comes out. I want to see that reaction shot.
Yeah. I saw Dustin's remarks the other day about what happened in Katowice, and he sort of seemed, well, actually, we quite like the bad guys, don't we, in sport? And he's right, we do. and I'm not condoning anything bad here, but, that's sport, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The personalities are always really fun to pay attention to. So whether you're quote-unquote good guys or quote-unquote bad guys, I think you're all interesting people, and they are fun stories to unfold.
So we're nearly at the end of the picks and bans now, just this final one. So where's it coming from, Riv?
It is a super fight team for Pain. They are looking to take this game into the face of Nex on this Freak. Nex is looking for somewhat of an AoE composition and really a single target lockdown, but what are they going to do if all of Pain jumps in for that fight? And they do go for the Wukong. That's even going to be worse for the AoE or better for the AoE for them.
That's going to be really good. Basically, Pain has a lot of ways to turn the game around. If it goes badly early on, they can still rely on Nunu Caitlyn, but their general synergy of Wukong, Nunu Amumu, and Katarina will tend to really mop up fights quite well. So unless Nex can really tank out some of the early bursts, it's going to be difficult for them. Though, of course, on the flip side, again, these are really both area of effect-based teams, so the team fights themselves will be extremely explosive. You'll see probably 2 to 3 people drop right away, and it's gonna kind of come down to who's tanking up, who's got the most gold. Whenever teams kind of fight on the same terms, gold becomes a lot more important than normal, and so small advantages, that one item getting completed, is gonna really tip things around.
So coming in here, they took 2 disengages, you could say. You have the Rumble Ultimate, which can be an engage, but also the Sona Ultimate. And then they go for Nocturne. So it looks like they're kind of back and forth on the fights. What does that composition say?
So that's mid Nocturne, actually. Takeshi plays a lot of bruiser mids, and he's called sort of within the Brazilian community like the dirtiest player because he just plays quote unquote OP stuff the entire time and just plays weird things.
You like that though, don't you?
Yeah,
you like the weird stuff.
I like weird stuff and I like playing OP things because I like winning games.
Alex.
So
Okay, Alex.
I'm a fan about that. Yeah, it's the Gambit gaming style of Champions Select. Just pick things that are strong.
Okay, so the other thing as well, we spoke to Cami yesterday. That interview is up, by the way, on youtube.com/ESLTV if you want to go and see it. We spoke to Cami yesterday. He was the highest ELO-rated Brazilian player on the North American servers, Season 1 and Season 2. And he says they're going to bring some fun to this tournament. So I'm waiting to see exactly what they're going to bring.
I wouldn't doubt it. I feel like BRT has that kind of, I can kind of play the Afro All-Star position. You know what I mean? He has that Draven, he has that Twitch. He was highest on Elo buff with Draven and you know, statistics and whatnot, and he could show us something really good with that Caitlyn.
Absolutely, this is one of the champions you can really build the team around because late game Nunu Caitlyn just doesn't tend to fall over ever. You're always relevant. And in lane, Nunu Caitlyn is still very, very good as well. I think the biggest sort of action is going to come from that bottom lane for Pain. That's going to be the biggest thing to watch for. You see them on your screen right here. Closest to you, MIT, the next to him, BRTT. If you can kind of go down the line from there. Honestly, that bottom lane I think is going to be the biggest deciding factor of this game.
Okay, so teams are ready. Looks like they're just going to jump straight into the game, and we will get Group A underway here in the Intel Extreme Masters in Brazil. I'm looking forward to this first game. I personally think this could be a decider as to which Brazilian team might go forward or have a chance at going forward. So it's time to introduce our commentary team. Of course, it is a local language team on both sides, so we go over to our commentary team in Brazilian and, of course, in English.
Thank you very much, Paul. And Jason, I didn't expect to be on camera, so I took my jacket off.
I didn't either.
But
I mean, I'm wearing
I
a
took
shirt.
it off, but it is warm enough here that I think I can be forgiven for taking that jacket off. I do have it here. Look, there's the proof. It is actually there.
I have mine here, too.
So
I'm
I
just
wasn't
not going to show it.
expecting to come onto the camera. Damn you guys. So, Jason, an all-Brazilian showdown to kick us off. I have to just say right now, if you hear me coughing, sneezing, all that kind of horrible stuff,
Any kind of
I
phlegm.
apologize. I am pretty ill right now. I think it's the whole minus 20 degrees in Warsaw where we were for the LCS qualifiers and the almost 30 degrees here that we have today. It's kind of breaking me. So we'll have a look anyway as we are going into this game. But Jason, first of all, what's your opinion on this one? Who do you think has the real chances, the best chances in this game?
I don't know, because Joe, we actually casted before Pain Gaming in the Riot Season 2 World Championships for Brazil, and we saw them play. They placed third there. They did well, but the problem was they couldn't really close out the game. Next Impetus, I mean, they're originally Inside Gaming, now moved over to this team. Not too sure on the players and how good they are. They actually have a really young team. Aurelian in the top lane, he's 16 years old. So I'm expecting a lot of early action, but still, towards the late game, they have a hard time closing out, which you noticed when we last were at this.
And Irelia not playing Irelia is probably going to be throwing us off when we get into those team fights as well. But you can see on the map here the ward positions, which obviously look so much nicer now. I think Riot Games did a fantastic job with that one, getting the ward icons on the map. We can see here, actually, Alex just watching this bottom side of the river. Do you think we're going to see any level 1 action, Jason?
I mean, probably not. To be honest, you might see actually Caitlyn Nunu go for the double golems in bot lane, get that early level 2 advantage. No reason not to, especially when they're not being invaded. They have that ward coverage around the entire bottom side of the jungle. No reason to not get that early aggression, especially when you get some Misfortune Sona, who has so much poke, so much early game damage that you could always use any kind of advantage you get in your lane.
So a slow start on that front then. Let's see where they are going to be starting. Looks like next Impetus going to be starting off by the Wolves for their start off here. Obviously Nocturne in the jungle. That Rumble in the middle lane. Excited to see a Rumble in the middle lane.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I actually saw a Rumble in the middle lane, certainly at this level of play.
Well, the thing is, it's ideally the top lane. You know, you see Wukong usually go top back, well, at least in late Season 2, same with Rumble, but now they're in the mid lane. It's pretty much the exact same thing you're going to see, except they have a lot more control in terms of where they want to run. Obviously, you know, they can run through the river to actually escape both ways, and they can be ganked a lot easier, but then again, you're against a Wukong who has that decoy to run away if he needs to. And Rumble, who actually went 9 pots and a ward just for that early game sustain against Wukong.
So, Jason, run us through these lanes, starting from bottom to top. Who's got the advantage in each one?
Well, bot lane, we do see Next Impetus with that Misfortune Sona pretty much can't be matched in damage pre-level 6, as you're going to see right here. I mean, Sona going to take quite a bit of damage, but still, she has a heal, she has a sustain, which is going to cause a lot of problems for Pain. In the middle lane, I think it's pretty much just coming down to a skill matchup right there, because Rumble can obviously harass anytime Wukong comes in, but Wukong is just such a strong champion right now, and you have a Mumu to actually gank for you if you can lock down with the bandage toss, maybe even the ultimate. You could easily get some kills combined with his ulti. And then the top lane, this one, I mean, it's mostly just going to be a farm lane. If anything, Aurelia should win this lane against Katarina, who can't really do much damage. You need to really get around, get some ganks, get some kills, and some early gold to do so much. But, I mean, Aurelia's going to lose, maybe early on, but once he gets maybe his Giants belt, which, I mean, Joe, during Season 3 qualifiers for Europe, we saw Warmogs after Warmogs after Sunfire Capes.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing T2 can do about it. But then again, Voivoi made that, kind of build with the Warmogs and Katarina kind of well known. And in the jungle, I mean, Nexus has kind of a dive team with this Shen, with this Nocturne. They can easily just jump onto a turret. Bot lane would be really nice for ganks, even mid lane with the slow out of Rumble. So overall, I mean, it's just going to be a lot of early action, and then we're going to see probably Pain Gaming take the fights later on.
Well, we see that in the middle, just back and forth damage coming out from Kami and Takeshi in those middle lanes. And really interesting to see how BRTT does. Obviously, what's called BTT back in his Counter-Strike days always was a top level player. And as I think Paul touched on, that Counter-Strike was a famous esport here in Brazil. They had such great teams, and I was talking to some of the players outside about that, and they said, yeah, now that we're starting to get these international tournaments coming to Brazil, we hope that these big organizations like Made in Brazil, which was pretty much all privately funded, start to make their way into League of Legends as well. So you never know, these teams could be playing for a spot on one of those big name esports organizations.
Yeah, very true. And they're playing for the pride of Brazil here. I mean, they're playing against teams from Europe, they're playing against teams from Korea with LGIM. They want to make themselves known in the world scene finally, and this is their chance to do it. Also, the top lane, we do have a pink ward on Shen. He put it down, wasn't in the right spot, but he's trying to create an opportunity for his Nocturne, who's currently just sitting in that jungle, been towards the top side of the map, actually for a good portion so far, really trying to create some sort of early advantage, because then that allows Shen to just snowball his lane and obviously ult around and save the rest of his team if they want to go for any really tough dives.
So we have a Mumu down in this bottom lane, but as you can see there, ward in the tri-bush, no real problems for him in that one. Shen again in his top lane, taking good damage from T2. No real surprise, he's leveling in towards that W first of all. I'll be giving him a bit of a hard time. But like you say, once he gets up towards that Giants belt, which he'll most certainly do in my opinion, could be bad, I say bad times, but probably won't make really much of an impact up there.
Yeah, very true. And Joe, if you notice, we see no Crystalline Flask because this was after it was changed, so it's increased cost, but does give you a little bit more mana and health, but still not as, not the type of item you actually want to start with anymore. Just to get that really good sustain. So we're seeing so many health costs just stacked up. I mean, Katarina even has 9 for herself to just hold up in that top lane and just, get that early game farm that we need to see. But Joe, I mean, in terms of what do you think is going to happen in terms of action? Like, where do you think the first blood's actually going to come down?
Well, it's hard to say. It's got to be these junglers getting involved at level 6, because right now we're seeing that these lanes are pretty much evenly matched. If you look down the CS, bottom lane 38 to 39, middle lane 22 to 33. Yes, Rumble having a better time in that one. He's going to be going back. Wukong already came back into his lane with ward, boots, and the longsword there. In the top lane, 32 to 32. So overall, a very even matchup so far. And it's going to have to be about these junglers getting involved, specifically, I'd say, at level 6, this Amumu. If they can tie that in with the teleport of Kami on Wukong, that's where it's going to become really dangerous.
Yeah, actually, it is coming in right now to the bot lane. We might have that teleport actually happen. Ward does go down.
Let's see. We are going to see them pushing in towards Alox, who's going very, very low. Forced to use the flash away there. BRTT putting the damage down, but not quite enough. The teleport not happening there from Kami. They did stick that pink ward in the brush in anticipation.
The thing is, though, I don't think they noticed that pink ward went down. So when they push up again, which they've been doing this entire game, you might see Wukong actually come down, teleport right onto Sona, who doesn't have that flash anymore, as Wukong is now level 6, can easily get first blood down there.
Yeah, let's see if that all goes down. I mean, if I look at the gold, bang even right now, still no first blood coming in. It's first game of the tournament after all. That's where, as they said on the analysis desk, that this is probably the game that if one of these Brazilian teams is to go through, then this is the game that's going to decide that one.
Yeah, very true. I mean, not to mention you're up against Millennium and Meteor Bakers as well in the group. Going to have a really tough time there because they're very good teams. I mean, they both unfortunately didn't make it into Season 3, but still easily a top team in Europe.
So move further in towards this farming right now. Rumble did come back with the health crystal plus an amplifying tome as well. Himself that bit of AP. Amumu is going back, and Amumu is still level 5, not quite up to that level 6, where obviously he's going to become so much more effective when he gets into those lanes.
Yeah, very true. Nocturne though as well, almost at level 6, probably will be able to get off this blue buff. And not to mention with the Rumble in the mid lane, he can secure this blue every single time. And that means his ult is going to have such a short cooldown. They can constantly be using them, especially if they try to drag out that laning phase to just get some sort of advantage early on. Because they have a really good team, but not as strong in team fighting as Pain does. They do have a really nice disengage, a really nice engage if they want to, but if they can drag out that laning phase, I think get as many kills as possible and really set behind anyone on Pain, they should look pretty good throughout the rest of the game.
So Caitlyn coming back into this lane with the BF sword. It'll be a nice spike of damage when he does get there. Nocturne was actually just sniffing around here by that tri-bush, but even if it had come through the lane, there was still that pink ward here that Nex have not seen. They've not figured out that pink ward was there. They didn't see it when it went down. And actually, Sona has nothing to really counter that with anyway.
Kami's actually starting to back up a little bit, get the storm in a tower. He might actually just drop back and wait for the teleport in. You don't really need a Mumu for this, but in the meantime, no. Next going to back out and actually go by themselves. Misfortune sitting on 2,000 gold, Joe. That is an insane amount of money to sit on. He could actually go for that BF sword if he wants to. Not sure if he's going to commit to that, or maybe go boots, maybe a Vamp Scepter early on, get the extra sustain in lane. But the thing I'm really curious about is he going to go for the Black Cleaver Bloodthirster build? I mean, he doesn't really have an amazing team to set up his ultimate, but he does have the nice crescendo and slow.
Yeah, that crescendo is going to be crucial for them in these fights. Obviously, with the Boomer in there, then you've got Wukong, Katarina, 3 big ultimates that are going to come in. I mean, that's without, Nunu, okay, Absolute Zero is not going to do a massive amount, but pile on top of everything else could mean the difference between winning a fight and actually losing it in the end. Yeah,
very true. First blood should be coming up here very shortly. We do see a Mumu right there. Actually, just under your screen a little bit, waiting by that Wraith Camp to actually engage with the Banish Toss over the wall. Wasn't backing out as he is going to actually commit to it. Is spotted by a ward, so obviously Tixi is actually just going to play a little passive. And still, I mean, the teleports, Joe, we talk about, time and time again, how crucial it is to have. We've seen it kind of develop into the meta where all mids will run that teleport to get around the map, create advantages, but we haven't seen it used yet. We are 9.5 minutes in. It's relatively late to actually finally use your first teleport, and I'm kind of worried that's going to be a wasted summoner for him.
Yeah, but the thing is, if he does manage to get it in there and then get a kill, that's when it really the game really starts. Yeah, the pink ward finally coming down from Alox. That's going to give them full vision of this top bush, and you can see that Nocturne is already waiting just to the top side of them to get through this lane once Nex have pushed it out.
He does have that red buff right now, Joe. We do have Cleanse currently on BRTT though, so he easily could escape, especially with that 90 caliber net. But still, I mean, pretty much a passive game, I have to say, Joe. During the LCS, we saw First Bloods happen relatively early, even with what was at stake there. But both teams, like you were saying before, I mean, if they lose this, most likely going to be out of the tournament.
Yeah, I'd say so. With Millennium and MYM in there, I can't see these two European teams, which, like you said, didn't qualify for Season 3, but they're certainly up there in terms of power when it comes to the European scene. Yeah, we've just seen there the damage that Misfortune can put down with that BF sword. BRTT falls back, and you just don't have the sustain in that lane that you do with a Sona when you've got the Nunu.
Yeah, that's the downside to running these really aggressive lanes that we've been seeing lately with the Lulus, the Nunus, especially Zyra as well. So, I mean, Misfortune going to have, or at least he's going to be able to farm up against Caitlyn, which is the really tough thing since she has no escape. She doesn't have insane amount of range, but we'll see if that can actually carry over into the late game.
Let's have a look again then down the CS. Katarina in this top lane with Titu. Got that giant spell in there. Shen also got the same, but Titu doing a good job in terms of the farm here. 84 to 71 there. Middle lane Rumble still got roughly a 10 CS lead for the red team. Got that Haunting guys in there. Wukong going straight in for the Brutalizer as they are just butting heads here in this middle lane. There's the decoy coming out. Mumu's actually coming in. There's the ultimate coming out. This could be First Blood. Curse of the Sad Mummy comes out. Ultimate comes out. Oh my god, he's managed to pick it up. He goes down afterwards. But Irelia and Danagon are both there. And Surti will die. What an amazing turnaround there from Rumble.
I didn't even see that Shen ultimate come out on top of him. The shield was pretty much killed instantaneously, but still picking up that kill, getting that First Blood, and now they're going to get a Dragon on the top of that, Joe. Such a great play out of Nex Impetus.
So, Dragon down to half HP already. Let's see if they can come in. No, bottom lane of Pain decides, let's not bother with that one. But just when it looked like Rumble was going down there, yeah. Shen ultimate coming in perfectly timed. That shield just about enough to keep him alive and long enough to pick up that First Blood. And not only now does he have that CS lead, he picked up that First Blood in there, getting assist on the second kill, and actually he's just picked up a giant spell on his return home. And
the thing was, Kami did such an amazing job of baiting him in because he had the decoy to pretty much stop any sort of kind of slow that Rumble can dish out on him, and turn around with the knock-up, setting the Moon ultimate, which honestly didn't seem like it needed to be used right away. Maybe a bandage toss and then the Moon ultimate coming around after that, but still so well played. And still the downside to that though. On the downside to that though, in the top lane, what can Katarina do against Shen to stop him? Absolutely nothing. And as you see right now, the turret did get very low, was able to get the turret off of that, luckily.
Yeah.
But now Katarina's going to be able to roam around a little bit, has that Warmox finally completed, has boots, and we should see him, push lane out as quick as possible, roam around, try to get some kills, and really start snowballing on Cat, which, that reset mechanic is so deadly. And I was talking to you before when we're seeing the picks and bans, Joe, where's the Kazakhs? I mean, wasn't banned, wasn't picked. And he was the most picked and banned, not the most, second most picked and banned champion during the Season 3 LCS qualifiers.
Yeah, it was a very strong pick. Olaf was another one of them.
He was number one, 100% picked or banned during that.
So, yeah, I'm guessing that that's going to come out later on. Obviously, every single team has their own kind of favorites.
Yeah.
And you kind of expect that they go for that whole, what the community would probably call OP coming into the games. But still, if they've been practicing a strategy, these two teams know how each other play. The two of the top teams in Brazil, they certainly know what they're going to be coming up against. Right now, 2-1 in kills, 700 gold lead for Nex Impetus, and it's still absolutely open to any team for this one.
Yeah, it's really, really anyone's game right now. And Joe, this bot lane, I'm really expecting a lot of action to come down here very shortly. We do have the cleanse, like I was saying before, on BRTT, but Misfortune just puts out so much damage with that Bloodthirster on top of it and the ultimate. Going to just be hammering away at this Caitlyn as you see them both picking up those ping cords right there. But Nexus does retain control of that bush, as you see right there. And this is kind of surprising me. I mean, we see Caitlyn Nunu lanes, they're all about pushing that lane as hard as possible, as quick as possible to get that turret down, maybe rotate a little bit later. But they've been playing pretty passive against this early game aggression.
Well, I think that's the whole point of it, right? So Caitlyn Nunu, attack speed through the roof, and they can push these lanes very quickly, but with Sona and Misfortune, this early game is, I guess, the real counter to that one because of the damage that you can put out there. I mean, Sona has amazing poke damage.
Yeah, she does. As you've seen time and time again with Gosu Pepper now on Gambit Gaming, formerly at Moscow 5. You do have T2 on the top lane, though, still being really aggressive up here. He's really trying to keep this lane push, really trying to keep Shen in this top lane, but the bot lane, you're seeing MIT go in.
Yeah, we've just seen a flash coming down, but here is Danikon, and there is a crescendo going over bullet time as well. MIT is actually managing to stay alive, but not for too long. Xerxes in trouble. Here comes Wukong. He's going to get the kill down on towards Alex and spin himself back towards that turret. BRTT at the back is still putting down the damage. Rumble coming in now. Ulti over. Flash away. Can he catch in there? Yes, they will get the kill. Can Kami stay alive? No, he can't. There's four of them right on top of him. And that will be the turret coming down again. And another brilliant turnaround from Nex.
That was such an amazing play to both teams right there, committing so much, pretty much every ultimate they could, even all the flashes and teleports. That was so well played. Next Impulse, they did get the 3 kills, they did get the turret, but at what cost? In the top lane right now, you're seeing T2, he's going to take that turret, and, overall, that's a really deadly turret to lose. Any kind of second turret you lose, especially when you haven't gotten any of the opponents, is really bad. It gives them so much control in the jungle right now in that top side, and may even force an early kind of split push, or early kind of 5-man push, if they want to go for the outer turret, since they're going to be defending this top lane against the inhibitor.
Well, the funny thing after all that is that turret is going to just about stay alive, or will it? Yeah, they will. Let's say that, and it goes down to just 100 HP. But Next now leading 5-2, 2,000 gold lead there or thereabouts, and they're going to be pushing down this middle turret. It's at half HP. Kind of surprised that they're not being a bit more aggressive on that one, and there is a pause.
Yeah, with this early kind of advantage they gave themselves, like I was saying before, against a really team comp oriented fight, they can afford to do this because Pain, I mean, they do have a lot of lockdown with the Mumu ultimate, with the Wukong knockup, but after that, you're kind of lackluster. I mean, Katarina with no damage currently right now only has the sword boots to really do some sort of anything. But they should be able to push these towers down, especially with the hard engage they have and the disengage if they need to.
How is that man wearing a woolly hat? How? I don't know how you can manage that one. It's pretty roasting, and obviously on the stage there are a lot of lights as well. It looks like we should be fixing this one in just a second.
Yeah, I believe someone was having lag problems. And speaking of lag, we should kind of point out is that this is a Brazilian tournament realm, but it's not hosted here. It's hosted in Miami, so they have 120 to 100. Actually, I think it's 140 to 160 ping, which might cause problems for teams like Millennium Mutual Makers, who's used to playing on that 0 ping on offline events.
Well, for me, I know I couldn't last it, but that really isn't anything to do with the ping. That's more of a problem with my mechanics, let's say. So hopefully this should be fixed soon. There you can see the ESL admins plus the guys from Riot there all going about their business, figuring out exactly what the problem is. And this maybe, a much-deserved pause kind of situation for Pain, because the momentum was starting to stack up against them there. This
Yeah.
pause gives them a good time to, whilst not having to concentrate on last hitting, but to just talk about, okay, this is the position that we're in right now. This is the position we need to be in. How do we get from step A to step B?
And still, on the other side of that coin, Next Impetus, they have the momentum, but then they have this pause, then they have this lull, this time to relax and maybe potentially lose it. That's one thing you kind of have to retain during this entire game, because they've been playing exceptionally well. I mean, you have a 3-0 Nocturne, you have a 2-1 Rumble, and then the rest of the kills obviously just going to be in the form of assists, but isn't that a bad thing as well, Joe? I mean, having that many kills stacked up onto 2 characters, you kind of want to spread it around a little bit, maybe get Misfortune a kill or 2, because you're going to need her damage later. You have a decent dive comp with that Shen and with that Nocturne, but if they get too far in the back line with Caitlyn being able to kite them with the snowballs on a Nunu, it's going to be really tough for them to do any damage to Caitlyn.
Yeah, but at the same time, look at the items between the 2 AD carries. Caitlyn there, pickaxe, BF sword, Vamp Scepter. On the other side, you've got the Bloodthirster already done for Misfortune, the Brutalizer. And the fact that Rumble and Nocturne both have this edge over their counterparts in the lane is going to mean that they have an easier time in the fights, which, yeah, sure, it might mean if they manage to ace them that 3 go to Rumble and 2 go to Nocturne, which is, like you said, never the biggest thing that you want out of fight. Those kills want to be spread across the board, but it could go the other way. As long as they get the ace, and then Misfortune's going to be getting assists in there at least, and then maybe even picking up 2 or 3 kills, it's all good for them right now. The situation that they're in, they've got better items, and I guess that they're going to be starting to push that advantage here very shortly.
And a problem that's kind of developing for Pain Gaming is the fact you have a Katarina, like we were saying before, no damage right now, and the problem is you need to be able to get those resets off to really start, increasing your DPS, exponentially. Problem is, you have Wukong, who's 1 and 2 in lane, doesn't have really the greatest items of yet. You have a Caitlyn who's, I'm going to say behind, just because you're against Misfortune, you should be able to win that lane, at least by pushing lane extremely quickly, getting all that last hit, or all the CS, but look how tanky right now Shen is, look how tanky Nocturne is. You have 2 Warmogs currently, you have 2 Giant Spell, 1 sitting on Shen, 1 sitting on Rumble. I mean, are you really going to be able to get any of these resets? Because they have a pretty good team to protect this Misfortune.
Yeah, that's the hard point. When Katarina goes in there and blows everything, doesn't get the resets, and then you're in a very, very difficult situation for going forward. But you've got that Wukong ultimate, you've got the Amumu ultimate going in. Looks like we're pretty much ready to go in this one. The team's just asking if they are ready, and we are going to go back into the game.
Yeah, like I was saying before we had to go to that pause, and another one. Next Impetus was pushing up that mid lane. And another pause. I think we're actually just having a little bit of lag problems, but should be fixed relatively shortly, as Misfortune is going to really disconnect real quick. But Joe, I mean, we have Rumble. He has a Honey Guys. He's building towards that Riley's Crystal Scepter. We're talking about the good disengage, the good engage coming out of Next Impetus. That item is going to pretty much secure that ability to do that. And if he can land that perfectly on a Caitlyn, don't you think that's going to lock her down, allowing Nocturne Shen to just kill her? I mean, I can't think of a better word without saying something too wrong.
They want to kill her.
Yeah.
They're going to kill her. Yeah, definitely. And the tankiness thing is a big thing here. Without major damage items coming in on at least 2 champions there that you would expect or you would need in that situation to really be doing the damage. However, we are going to get back underway here, and hopefully we stay alive for a while. That would be nice, as Nex are actually pushing down this outer turret in the middle lane. Such an important turret to be taken as well, and almost given for free. I mean, it's not like they can really defend it 4 versus 1 there, but still a nice pickup from Nex.
During the European LCS we were casting last weekend, Joe, we saw so many times that they would get the first 2 middle turrets, and off of that, they would just ward up the enemy jungler because the support would have some sort of an advantage, being able to get all those wards down. I mean, we see the Ruby Sightstone now done for Alex, and that control it gives you is just so key, especially when you're on against a team like this, because if they catch you in the jungle, if Pain gets caught, they're not going to escape.
I'm quite interested to see that we've not seen any of the Gosu Pepper builds that we saw out of Katowice, which was like, screw the Sightstones, we don't need them, just buy an ton of pink wards throughout the entire game. And obviously Moscow 5 won that tournament, so must have been decent for him.
Well, the thing is, he went like a Doran shield early on, which gave him the health, it gave him the protection against any kind of burst in the bottom lane. And like you're saying, all those pink wards, they created so many opportunities, so many dragons, end up taking that momentum and just, well, like I said, winning the game. I mean, 2-0 to Zubu Blaze and a Zubu Frost, not an easy feat by any means.
Well, now that we're back in, at least players getting themselves back focused in onto the game. Titu looking like he's going to be headed back home there. On the other side, Nex also going home to spend up a little bit. We can see that Crystal Scepter now done with the Haunted guys. The Giants belt starting to stack up across the board. We do have one Warmogs finish, and there's the Infinity Edge now on Caitlyn. So that could be a big thing when we come in towards these next moments of the game.
It's a nice bit of extra damage for her, but the problem is that Caitlyn's kind of weak mid-game. She doesn't really have the damage she needs to compete with anyone else, especially with the AoE that you see out of Misfortune. But if they keep stalling long enough, they easily should be able to win these fights. But Dragon is now back up. Nexus just did get the last one, and they might be able to secure the second one of the game.
Well, Surti coming around the side. Let's see what he can do about this one. Dragon already down to low HP. Here we go. It's Surti. Goes in there. There goes Curse of the Sad Money. The crescendo does come across the side. Wukong is spinning his way through the team there. Misfortune taking a lot of damage in the mix of it as well. Katarina is right in on top of it. That's a double kill. Here come the resets. 3 kills. Can they finish off Irelia? I'm not sure. He's very, very tanky, but they're going to keep going on this one. Shen trying to run away, slowed down completely on his way through. But he's going to manage to actually survive that one. But what a result out of that one there from Pain.
Yeah, Nexus was completely caught off guard. And the funny thing is they had the wards to spot the entire team coming in from both sides. Just Amumu got in there, Surti got the perfect ultimate on all 6 members of Next Impetus.
6 members.
6 members? Did I say 6?
Yeah.
Okay, all 5 members.
Dragon is obviously on their team.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I got all 5 members locked down with that, and ended up taking the fight, but they did lose that Dragon. And luckily for them, actually smart play by them to pretty much just forget the Shen and just go back to pushing, because they actually could have taken this military. I think personally it might be a little bit of a mistake. They could have easily taken that down and given them some sort of extra gold that they really wouldn't have gotten farming these minion crews, but they did take away the blue. So Nocturne's not going to have that up. He's not going to have the really quick cooldown on that ultimate following this one. But still, well played by Pain, showing that they're not out of this game in any way.
And that's the thing with the comp that they have there. If they can engage on their terms, the Nex aren't quite ready for it. I mean, they saw that Amumu coming around the corner. They had this ward down here in this tri-bush, so they saw him coming around there. But they weren't able to do anything. I'm not sure that they expected that the rest of the team will be so quickly on the back of him there coming in.
Yeah, that was perfectly well timed by Surti, knowing how tanky he was to get in there, just set up the entire fight, which honestly, I mean, looking at the back of the game, probably in 10-15 minutes, it might have been the turning around point that got him the victory here.
The RTT just going to be going home once again. What's he got? 1,200 gold currently. They just end up finishing off those boots. Yep, there we go, into the Berserker Greaves. And picking up some more pots plus a dagger in that one. The gold between the two AD carries is very, very close. It's around about 90 gold, the difference between the two of them right now. After those kills coming down, the assists, the 3 assists for Misfortune, obviously both of them died once, but Caitlyn picking up that kill in the last one. It's Katarina though who really will have benefited from that last fight. We talked about Warmog's first.
That's an understatement. Yeah. Going 3-0 in that fight.
Warmog's right at the start of it for her. Now got that Haunting guys in there. The Sorcerer's Shoes obviously were finished on a little bit earlier on, and that will actually put her 500 gold above what Shen was at.
And gives her that extra damage she's going to need for these fights. And it was really unfortunate because next time just, Manoj couldn't get position to get his ultimate off because he got dove on right away. Got hit with the Mumu ultimate. Kame dived in straight for him just to lock him up. And because of that, couldn't get his full combo off, which probably would have completely changed the fight around. But still, great job of them to actually keep him controlled. And kind of one of those things that maybe a cleanse would have benefited Misfortune. Maybe he needs to go for a QSS now to prevent that Mumu ultimate from landing, or maybe just get a better position in these team fights. I love that backing graphic, or that, and on the minimap, the backing of Nocturne right now looks so much better. It's so nice.
So, what is the next step here for either of these two teams? It's a 500 gold difference, 2-2 in turrets. Really, really close stuff, and that's what we're expecting from this one. First game of the tournament. Teams actually warmed up here earlier on today in the backstage area, so after the community ARAM games earlier on, they actually moved up to the stage, so they should have been warm enough coming into this one. Actually, MYM and Millennium are still practicing here. They're actually sat like across, right in front of us. Not across from each other, but like left to right on the same row. So we'll see if there's a bit of spying going on there, see what everyone's playing. But after last week at LCS, these two teams certainly know what each other are capable of. Pain and Nex Impetus, I'd say they're on a similar footing. Two top Brazil teams that play each other often.
Yeah, and they want to prove that they're, not just a good Brazilian team. They want to prove they're a good team overall in the world. And Joe, you mentioned what's the next step out of Pain, or actually the next step for both teams here. We might actually start seeing some tower action happening, maybe some grouping, because we still have this bottom turret currently up for grabs. A 300 gold advantage for Nex Impetus, which, 22 minutes in with 2 dragons taken, that's not a lot of gold for them to be up at the moment.
It's pretty much none.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Still a very much wide open game. Coming here pushing this bottom lane now. Actually, the only outer turret that remains currently on the side of Next Impetus. And he's not going to be following that one up through. So, a bit of a quiet period now as both teams say, okay, we need to catch back up with that farm, keep going on that one. As I say that, we can see that Pain do have 4 men starting to push this bottom lane out. Not sure that they're going to be able to, no, they won't be able to react to that one fast enough. The turret was already severely damaged, and that will be taken off, and that will give Pain the turret lead.
I believe actually gives them the first advantage of the game, first goal lead of the game for them. And yeah, you had a good point still saying that, you know, both teams kind of playing a little passive, kind of seeing what happened after that last team fight. But Pain, after realizing they won that team fight, they know if they get one more great team fight in their favor, they should be able to take that and win the game, because it'll put Next Impetus so far behind that they can't really pick them off one by one, which is the advantage that Next Impetus created for themselves but kind of didn't capitalize on.
And we can see here Shen in the top lane is Shenning.
Doing as a Shen does, yeah. Split pushing.
Pushing that one straight through. Obviously, does have Stan United
available,
so he's going to come out. Let's see if this one goes down. Turret already been hammered away. Pain going to try and get in on this fight. Actually, Nexy pushing that wave back, and that for now at least will be no fight. But the turret, you can see, almost at half HP. They may look to capitalize on it with this wave if they get in there. Shen's got to be quick on the reaction. He's obviously probably just got one finger hovering over his R right now, getting ready for that. You can see he's doing a great job in that top lane of pushing the turret down, but the wave clearing ability here for Nex is actually really, really good. Well, let's see if they can hold on to that turret. There is the turret going down for Irelia in the top lane. Takeshi goes in. Nocturne is going to dive in as well. This fight is all going to kick off. The ultimate's coming left, right, and center. Wukong here having to spin around the side. Crescendo comes in quite late. Caitlyn ultimate comes across. It's only a 1-for-0 right now, but they're having to flash away. Nex are still fairly healthy in this one. Titu going to get feared back in towards the next team, but can they follow this one up? Pain have 3 men that are very, very low. Denegon is taking a lot of damage, though, has to back away. The bandage toss missing. Here comes Aurelia around the side. Takeshi focused on, though, but he will finally go down. BRTT is going to try and escape from Aurelia, who in the end just gives up on that one. And now it's Mitt who has to try and run from 4 of them. And in the end, Next say, you know what? We've done the job. Let's take the dragon.
That was such a great play out of Alex right now, Sona. He was in the backside of that fight, but he got focused down really quickly by Amumu, by Katarina, by Wukong, but was able to survive just long enough because of that Ruby Crystal and the Ruby Sightstone to not give Katarina that reset. If she got that reset, that fight would have completely went in Pain's favor. But lucky for her, had enough health to survive that. And that's that's something Next Impetus needed. It showed them that, hey, we can still catch them off guard. I mean, we had Shen actually ult upon Nocturne, who went into the back line against BRTT. Even though BRTT escaped from it, the rest of his team was able to, with the advantage they had, pretty much push back that Wukong, push back that Amumu, push back that Katarina.
Push back. Sorry.
All good.
Thought I was expecting that one as well. But if we look now at the big picture of this one, 9-7, again, that gold lead swinging over towards Next Impetus, 37.3 to 34.7, 3-3 on turrets. Those dragons still coming in for Next, so now starting to get to that point of the game where Pain have to win another team fight.
And we need to see Cammy actually get that Black Cleaver, because on his ultimate it applies the stacks from that. So he gets that stack up pretty much instantly over for Caitlyn, who's going to need that damage. Not so much a Katarina, who does, decent amount of damage on auto attacks, especially when you proc it with her Q. But you need that item. I mean, that would completely set up that fight, and it's just those little things that actually might turn these fights around and give Pain the advantage again.
See there, Surti headed towards this bottom lane, but look at the entire Next team actually. Gonna have to react to this one because they could lose that inner turret finally. Obviously didn't go down in that last fight. We can see that they just cannot react to that one fast enough. They were up on that top side of the map by the Baron, and now we see Pain looking for the first Nexus turret, inhibitor turret of the game, as Denorgan is going to come in there. There comes a bullet time across. Surti is absolutely destroyed. This is not looking good for Pain. They've lost 3 men already. BRTT is going to get feared up. Oh, and it sends him right back into the team. That's a triple kill for Nocturne. Cammy has got hardly any health. Let's see what Denorgan can actually pick up from this one. Oh, what?
I don't even know what to say about that one, because you saw Nocturne coming around to try to pick up Cammy right there, but such an unexpected fight for Pain. I don't think they were really expecting them to just dive straight into them, but with Nocturne being so tanky, why not? And there's no reason to not do that. And then you had Caitlyn, who was really far overextended, got cut up, was forced to flash away, and then that bullet time, Joe. That bullet time was so perfectly well placed. It tore through Amumu, it tore through Rumble, and not to mention it tore through, I believe it was Nunu in the middle of that fight, and then just gave him the win.
So actually it was Dan and Gorn that disconnected first. Obviously the Nocturne that got 3 kills and wasn't quite finished there, looking for the next one at the end. Irelia also dropping out the game, so we're going to have a bit of a pause while we figure that one out. Again, the admins you can see running back and forth in the background, just to try and figure this one out. And again, Pain get that time to talk about what's going wrong for them, to talk about how they need to move forward in this game, because we've said it before with Millennium and Meet Your Makers, the other 2 teams in this group. For both of these Brazilian teams, they'll be looking at this game to give them that really strong start.
Yeah, very true indeed. And I mean, you saw Pain's face. They just did not look happy with what was happening in this game. They should be winning these team fights.
You could say they look very much in pain, Jason.
He's staring right at me as he says that. I was expecting like some sunglasses to drop down and say, deal with it, Joe. But anyways, yeah, still, Pain not looking very happy. They have the composition to win these team fights. The problem is that they're engaging at the wrong points. They gave so many kills over Next Impetus. They gave 2 dragons currently now to them. I mean, where they go from there, or from right now, is maybe get a couple of picks, maybe just get back to farming a little bit. Caitlyn sitting pretty well on farm, 228 CS, 222 kills, deaths, assists, has the Infinity's Edge, almost has a fan answer done, and also working towards her last Whisper, which she's going to need. I mean, she has to deal with that Nocturne, that Shen in her face before she can even get into the back line or even the mid line of Next Impetus.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem for them right now. I think that this Caitlyn just doesn't make the impact that she needs to be making in these team fights. With all that armor in there already, some fire cape coming in, and the second chain vest actually for Shen already, so pretty much not denting him at all.
And Joe, one thing we can look at right now, I mean, well, since we can see in game, is that there's no ward control off either team. There's currently no wards down, I believe, at all, except one currently for Pain on their own side of their own jungle, basically, in the top side of the river. And, you know, Next Impetus, that would have given them the knowledge that they're going for that second turret, which they now lost out on. Now they have that bottom and top side pretty much vulnerable to an inhibitor push if they want to go for it. The mid lane obviously does have that one turret available, but, you know, if you keep that bottom lane pushed in as much as possible, you send Cammy down there to do, you know, to keep forcing it into their team, he can just teleport in if they want to go for a potential Baron, and that would give them a huge advantage for this game.
So we wait then while the admins figure out what's going on. We're backstage, so we're kind of like the last people who get to hear about that stuff. So it's more likely that we get the polls off before we hear anything about that one.
Well, let's look at what we have coming for the rest of the day. We have Mutual Makers, we have Millennium still to play. Actually, right after this, they'll be playing against each other. They played in the European LCS. They went, actually, Millennium lost 0-2, but Millennium has a new support now. Haydel dropped out of the team. They have Fat Mama to replace him. And they haven't really had too much time to practice with them, so we'll see if they can kind of do well with that new lineup, which, one person falling off a team really is a huge thing.
Yeah, and there was a lot of drama around that one as well.
There
were Facebook posts galore from the from the different players on the team and stuff. So interested to see how Millennium actually turned that whole drama situation, not qualifying for Season 3, and come into this tournament, because this is their chance to qualify for Intel Extreme Masters World Championship at CBIT, obviously, in March. So there's a lot running on the line for this one. Meet Your Makers are already qualified. They've done a fantastic job throughout the entire Intel Extreme Masters season, actually, of doing well in all of these tournaments.
Well, they won in Singapore, and then they came in 3rd or 4th at IEM Cologne. I believe they lost to SK Telecom, who ended up going on to win the entire tournament. I believe they beat Fnatic in the finals.
Yep.
They were at Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. Unfortunately for them, they didn't progress into the playoffs because of a time rule, where Gambit Gaming was the one to sneak by there with a 60-second kind of
who then went
window.
on to win the tournament.
Yeah, went on to win the tournament. So, I mean, they've had a lot of ups and downs. I mean, I'm kind of happy that they've gotten out in the scene more. A lot of people are getting to know them a lot more, because even before Singapore, they were known, but not really as a solid good team.
Well, I'd kind of dispute that, to be honest with you. I think they've been known for a long time in the European scene. Maybe that didn't quite spread over to North America
that's true.
so much. But back towards 2011 in December, they finished 2nd at World Cyber Games. That was really the time where Meet Your Makers, back when they were called XGBT, X-Gameberg back then, that's when they really came up. Yes, they've been practicing hard. They've got one of the most stable rosters in competitive League of Legends right now, which is definitely not to be underestimated. I mean, look at some of the best teams in the world, your Moscow Fives, your Evil Geniuses. They've not really changed players. In fact, neither of them have changed players in a good while, and stability in the roster is one of the key factors in building up a stable team that can win championships.
When you look and you compare them to any other European team right now, I mean, against Authority, their roster change is like a page long on Wikipedia, not to mention just other teams like SK as well having some problems.
Yep.
And you know, people kind of underestimate how being in the same team together for such a long time really benefits you. I mean, you can replace someone because they think they did bad or something like that, but you really lose your synergy. You're not able to develop as a team. Like in Counter-Strike, you know, where team play is so crucial.
Like in
it's
any
so
game
key.
that's
well,
team-based.
That's
really,
very true.
Yeah, it's all about stability, all about learning your teammates' behavior so much that you can say, okay, they're going to do this next, even when he doesn't tell you.
Yeah.
And that's what, especially these bot lane combos, some of the most successful that we see have been together for such a long time.
Yeah, very true. I mean, Doublelift and Chaucer, I believe, well, he's not playing bottom anymore for CLG NA, but yeah, you really need that composition. I mean, we have Mad Life and Woong on Zubu Frost who just do so well together. Especially, I mean, like you're saying, they know exactly what the other person is going to do at every kind of situation, every kind of moment, and because of that, they're able to set up these kills and set up, pretty much just set the rest of the game for them because AD carries is what it's all about in the late game.
Yeah, I mean, you can run off a big list there. Libic and Makler
yes,
from Meet Your Makers.
yes.
Yellow Star and Enrated with Fnatic. Candy Panda and Nif at SK. Gosu Pepper and Genja and Moscow Fighter. Sorry, Gambit Gaming.
Well, we can still refer to them as Moscow 5, just so people who haven't heard about it, you know, get the understanding.
But it's all about stability in team games. And some of the best teams certainly have that. But we are still in a pause, if you didn't already realise. You can see both teams here just waiting to get things going.
But you know, the crowd here is insane. I mean, I was playing some ARAMs like it was Riot versus the community, and they went insane. Every time one of us died, they were just screaming that you could hear throughout the entire convention hall.
Which Red Eye did quite a lot.
Actually, he did quite well. I was surprised. He actually had more kills than me on his Caitlyn.
One thing I have to say is, because he wasn't playing under his name, it took me a while to figure out who he was. But after a while, it did become somewhat more apparent.
Well, he didn't realize that Caitlyn can actually put traps down until like the last 5 minutes of the game. But still, I mean, he did actually a really good job. His first time playing Caitlyn, I believe. Really impressed with him. Good job, Paul.
Can't be any worse than his top lane Vayne, that's for sure.
Oh, man. Not to mention Freak is playing Blitzcrank in there and getting pulls off left and right. It was good times. Good times. But Joe, I mean, how are you enjoying the city so far? I mean, we got in.
Enjoying the hotel
Tuesday.
a lot. The city, I've not really seen anything. We flew in, came to the hotel at 6 a.m. Had to wait for hours to check in.
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
And then, you know, got ill, like a boss. And I'm still ill. Like last night, I went to bed and I felt the most shocking that I've felt in a very, very long time. And a bit better today. Nose is still running, still coughing every 30 seconds, but you know,
we've had a busy 3 weeks though. I mean, in Tokyo Masters Katowice, Season 3 qualifiers, now Brazil, and then we have the Season 3 actually starting right when we get back. So
Meet Your Makers have had the same though.
That's true.
They've done all 3 tournaments as well, and they certainly have to keep their composure and focus higher than us, I'd say. I can see there that actually Next Impetus have stood up and are talking. There's the woolly hat, which I still am not sure how anyone can wear in this weather.
I have my jeans like pulled up around my knees and I'm still sweating right now.
I could possibly be wearing shorts under my jacket and shirt, but that will have to remain a rumor for all of you that aren't here.
Let me take a picture real quick.
No. So hopefully the problem, whatever it is here on stage, will be fixed shortly.
Well, Joe, want to give like a little bit of a recap of the game so far? What's happened? So we're,
sure, go ahead.
Oh, well, thanks, Joe. Thanks. So we're 27 minutes in. It is 7-13 in favor of Next Impetus right now. We saw not a lot of action starting off. I mean, it was 9 minutes of absolutely nothing happening, and then the game kind of just exploded from there. We saw that huge team fight at that bottom lane where we saw, you know, Wukong teleporting in. We had Shen coming in. That pretty much turned the fight around for them. In the mid lane for that first blood, what happened? We saw Wukong actually bait Rumble in for a little bit right there. We saw Mumu come in from the lane, but Shen with that ultimate, I didn't even see the Shen ultimate coming in, to be honest, but that shield just barely saving him, ended up giving that Rumble the first blood. They unfortunately did lose 1 or 2 after that, but still ended up helping them throughout the game. And now 2 dragons in their own favor. And I was trying to stress this actually at the European LCS, is that the dragons are such a key play. I mean, we look at the statistics from it, and teams that got the dragon, or the first dragon, would win like 80% of the games. It's like getting that first turret. You have a really high chance of winning the rest of the game because of that early gold it gives you, and if your team has the ability to really capitalize on that small advantage you get.
You can see that. Actually, the crowd are very civilized here.
Yeah.
I know from CeBIT and Gamescom, the Germans are a lot more mental when it comes to, mobbing the guy who's giving free stuff. See, they're like, wait, can I please have a free stuff? In Germany, they're like, yeah, and they dive on you. Basically, that's what happens in Germany.
I don't remember that.
Maybe it was just me, I have that effect on people. What should I say?
God.
So, we're still waiting here. Apparently, there are some power issues up on stage, which is, a key fact in running a computer. You need the power there.
I heard you do need that to run a computer. Maybe internet as well.
Yeah.
But Joe, I mean, looking back to the game, just for a quick second, we see Nocturne, 7 kills, 1 death. And we were talking during the game just how stacking so many kills on one player could be the downside of you. But it's looking like Nexus is able to not let that hinder them in any way, because Nocturne is built so tanky right now. As he's sitting on 2,800 gold where we actually hit the pause.
3k gold.
I mean, he already has his Warden's Mail, has a Madrid's Razor if he wants to go back and pick up, pretty much anything he likes with that amount of gold. And then back to Caitlyn. I mean, no real strong items to eat through this heavy defense that Nexus just has to put up against them.
Especially since Nocturne is just diving straight onto Caitlyn as well, like forcing her out of the fight, and just doesn't have really the ability to kite that Nocturne away, and get back in and do the damage that they need to do. So we'll see how that affects Pain here coming forward. You can see Nex still on their feet as we
still wearing the woolly cap,
still wearing that woolly hat.
But Joe, I mean,
he's probably emitting enough heat through his head to actually power the PCs that we currently have problems with.
And he's wearing a long sleeve shirt.
Oh man, it's freezing here. I think I'm going to go and give him my jacket. It looks cold.
Yeah, it's true. But Joe, I mean, we have 3 days here of Intel Extreme Masters Brazil. Today we have Group A. Tomorrow we have Group B with LGIM in it. We have a Nexus Esports in it, which played in the Season 3 qualifiers for LCS. Fortunately, got knocked out in the group stage. We have Key.BenQ. And then we also have Insight, which is the new Insight team that Next Impetus formerly was.
Yeah, exactly. So there's definitely a bit of rivalry between those two teams. They're not in the same group. And I mean, I'm going to say that one of the two certainly won't go through the group stage. It could be that obviously both Brazilian teams from Group E, especially since they're paired with Meteor Makers and Millennium, could end up not going through from the group stage. But you can see there on your screen, Paint trying to keep focused, and that's the hardest thing in this situation, especially since it's so warm. I'm sure the Brazilians are actually a lot more used to this warmth than us guys here are just sweating at the thought of this kind of temperature.
Well, I mean, what, like a week ago we were in sub temperatures?
Well, I worked this out. So today it's 27 degrees. When we left Warsaw, it was minus 25.
Really?
Yeah, so that's more than a 50-degree difference. If that's not a reason for your body to be like, you're going to be ill, then I don't know what is. As you can see there, the crowd once again pretty packed.
What is he throwing
out? I think they're lanyards, actually.
Oh, I want one. I have those thunder sticks from the LCS. Those things are awesome.
Sticks.
That was funny when you and Jack couldn't figure out the name. Lightning, the noise sticks. But still, I mean, you're talking about composure, keeping that focus, and I mean, I wasn't a professional player in any sort, but that has to be so hard to do when you have a crowd screaming still out there. You're down currently. You just were off the back of a bad team fight. I mean, we saw Nexum to stand together talking. I don't believe you've actually seen Pain doing that to kind of, get that motivation up. Maybe have a little bit of a pep talk or something.
Well, each team really can take that differently. I mean, traditionally through other esports, you get teams that stand up and scream at each other to get motivated. You have other teams who sit down in that row 5 and they'll quite happily talk quietly between themselves through TeamSpeak or whatever. So that's just really a difference between the two teams. I actually prefer this style of staying sat down, staying focused on the game. And I can see people running behind the team there, which I hope is a good sign. We've got 10.5 minutes of the pause remaining.
This reminds me, wasn't it the Brasileiro company? I can't say it correctly. The Season 2.
The Brazilian Game Championship.
Yes, there we go. Didn't we actually run down the pause timer once?
Yes, we did.
It was down to like 20 seconds, but luckily we started up again.
Well, the good thing that you can see on your screen now is that Next Impetus have in fact sat down again. in their chairs.
Look around with some keyboard problems now.
Oh yeah, look at that. Disco lights on his keyboard.
It's not distracting in
fact,
any way when you're playing.
Everyone has that.
Huh? Well, I mean, looking at the woolly cap guy, I mean, he has headphones on. I mean, so he has his in-ear headphones.
Manage. Since that's his
But
name, right?
woolly cap was so much better.
The guy who's obviously very warm right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's got.
But it's too hardcore to show it.
He's got the inner ear plugs. He's got the microphone around his neck. He's got the soundproof headphones over that. He's got to be burning.
Maybe that's where he gets his comfort. You know,
Being
they
really
say
hot.
that to play your best at an event, you have to make yourself feel at home.
Yeah, we saw.
Which
I mean,
maybe means that he lives in the hottest place in Brazil, in a greenhouse where it's like 50, 60 degrees, and that's how he feels comfortable. He's got to make himself sweat to get in the zone.
During Katowice, we did see Hercubot actually take off his shoes just to kind of relax and comfortable, just to kind of, make it as close as possible to home, just so you feel that comfort and you play a lot better than when you're nervous.
I commentate with my shoes off as well, so I do the same kind of thing.
Oh, they are off.
I think in other games you see it a lot more prevalently. There was a guy called IF22 in Quake who used to play like cross-legged with his legs on the table and his keyboard on his lap and his mouse somewhere around him, like ridiculous. Like when you see, you're just like, that's just ridiculous. But that's how he was comfortable. I remember it was brilliant at camping.
I remember back when I was playing, was it World of Warcraft at home, I had my legs up on my desk, one hand under each leg to control the keyboard and the mouse. It was like the weirdest thing ever, but it was so comfortable.
Cool story, bro.
Okay, fun.
I switched off when you said World of Warcraft, sorry.
It was, we're not getting into that.
So, Jason, we have 8 minutes and 17 seconds remaining on this pause.
What actually happens when the pause runs out? I'm not sure.
It just goes again. I think they unpause just before it happens, then they pause again. Or it just restarts itself. Just keeps going. So the timer is just a visual indicator for maybe to make the teams hurry up a little bit when they've got their problems. Like, oh, quick, we've got to hurry up with this one. Let's get going. But yeah, it carries on and on and on until we have the problems fixed, which hopefully shouldn't be taking us too long. You see that both teams are sat down again.
He's not even sweating. Like, there is no sweat on his face.
It's all contained.
I don't know if I'm scared or impressed about that.
I actually have a hat back at home. I'm going to try it tomorrow. I'll probably
you give yourself a heat stroke? Yeah. You're already not feeling good, but add that on top of it. But Joe, I mean, we mentioned Group B a little bit. We have LJM from Korea. I don't believe I've actually seen a Brazilian team play a Korean team yet. I mean, we talked about Meteor Makers. They really haven't experienced any kind of Korean teams. They obviously did over at Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, but do you think Brazil is ready to compete on that level?
Frankly, I'm going to just say no straight off the bat. My reasoning for that is that you can watch as many streams as you want, but without playing against a certain style, very often you don't quite get into it. So you've got kind of this theory down in your head about how this team's going to come up and play against you, but if you've not really been able to play against that style on a constant basis, that you'll really have a hard time adjusting to that style. I think that's one of the more interesting things about this tournament, that you have so many different styles here. You have the Asian, you have LJIM from Korea, you've got European teams here. Meteor Makers certainly aren't a standard team in terms of their play style as well. You've got Millennium in there, then you've got the Brazilian teams in here as well. So you just generally got three very different, maybe even more than three different styles coming out into this tournament, which for me makes a really, really interesting tournament. These Brazilian teams, I'm sure everyone online has been pretty much counting them out in terms of what they're going to do here, but the teams that they're up against certainly won't won't underestimate these Brazilian teams, because at the end of the day, the Brazilian servers are pretty new, like they've had their place to play, but they've all been playing for a long time anyway. In the American servers. So just generally, they could upset here. I'm just not sure against which team it would really come.
What I'm really curious about is that the Brazilian teams are going to try to pull out the curse of the sad bullet time that we've seen happen so often. We saw it in Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. We saw it in Season 3 European qualifiers. Obviously, there it didn't work too well because, I guess the teams really didn't have the practice down for that just yet. But I'm curious to see if they've been actually keeping up in terms of how the meta is kind of developing and trying to stay ahead of the curve in any way. Because, right here, we've seen this last week. We saw it week before, these kind of setups, really team fight oriented compositions versus comps that try to pick you off, maybe try to zone a little bit. And I guess we'll find out very shortly if they do, in fact, have that ability to go up against that.
Well, the funny thing is, yesterday Pain were here actually preparing, and they were watching VODs.
Yeah, they were watching Miniature Makers, I believe it was.
Yeah, they were
versus
watching
Millennium.
Yeah, from the LCS last week, obviously.
Yeah, so at least we know they are doing their research, are getting prepared for what's to come, because it would be amazing to see a Brazilian team actually make it into the playoffs. I mean, I believe even Rivington and Carmack have a bet against each other, where if a Brazilian team makes it into playoffs, there's 2 bets. Also, if 2 Brazilian teams make it into playoffs, Riv is actually going to wax his arm. Oh, he's actually shaving or waxing. I'm gonna go shaving his beard on stage in front of everyone, because he is that grizzly kind of man. But we are back in the game, as you do see right here. Finally getting back into the mix of things, and we did have Wukong actually escape. And, he's the only surviving member of that entire fight, as we did see happen over towards the inner turret.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I was actually popping anti-infection pills while they went live there, which were just delivered to my desk, so apologies for not catching the last bits of that. But the important thing was seeing this Baron being done now by Nexus.
Teleport top lane, Joe.
Teleport top lane, yeah, but to be honest, can Cammy actually do anything about this one? I mean, is they going to lose out on the Baron? Is he going to have the damage to be taking down everything that they need to here? Actually, Rumble is coming back. The turret will go down. Cammy going further in for this one. Here comes Takeshi with the home guard boots on. He's going to keep hammering away from that one. Yeah, they have managed to steal the Baron as well, but how much is that going to impact on this one? Back over the top here. Cammy is going very, very low. He is going to die, but he's managed to take out the inhibitor at the same time.
What a play out of Pain Gaming. They distracted them, sending that Wukong top, brought Rumble back, really brought that DPS down, and then Mumu just came in with that band shots, got the smite, took that completely away from Next Impetus, and they came out so far ahead of that. They got the Baron, they got the inhibitor, and they got the inhib off of that, Joe.
Amazing play. I mean, that could be the moment that turns this game around, but Jason, what do they have to do after that? I mean, yeah, they've stolen Baron, they've taken down inhibitor, but generally these team fights have been going Nexus' way.
Well, what they can do right now, Wukong's teleport is down, so that is a big factor. But what they can do is push that bot lane and not really even try to get the turret. They can just siege away, just try to play really passive just to protect their own team. Let that top lane push, and when then we see Nexus actually send someone up to that top lane to stop them from killing the Nexus turrets, they can get in, get that turret down, especially with that Caitlyn Nunu combo, and then take another inhibitor turret off of that. Or on the other side, they could play passive, they could play really defensive and just take that and use it to their advantage later on. Just kind of farm back up, get the gold lead back in their own favor, and get the key items they're going to need.
Well, let's have a look at the gold between each player. Katarina is ahead of Shen there in the jungle. Nocturne way ahead of Mumu, almost 2,000 gold. In the middle lane, we have 8.7 to 9.3 in favor of Rumble. The AD carries already over 10k now is Caitlyn at 10,337 to the 9,327 of Misfortune. So overall, this game certainly is not decided by a long stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, definitely. That entire fight, that great decision making out of Cammy to go towards that top side, and then the amazing steal out of Surti just completely turned the game around. And that's what makes a team great. It's just those split-second decisions to know what you're going to do. For instance, Fnatic versus SK until Shimazu Katowice, expect it coming back in for that next to try to finish off the game. Those are things that win you the games, and those are the things that make you really well known in the scene.
Well, they've still got a long way to go. Bit of a road to victory still here for Pain, but we can see they're starting to stack up on this bottom lane.
Yeah, they're going to let that top lane push out, let Shen kind of be the one to defend against it. Obviously can, ulti in, but they do have the ability to just hammer away at that turret. All they need to do is really dodge that crescendo and dodge that ultimate out of Rumble, and if they do that, they should easily be able to disengage.
So here we go then. Pain starting to put down some damage on towards his turret. Here comes the Nocturne though, and he's gone straight in on towards Caitlyn. Curse of the Sad Mummy goes down. Is PRTT going to get away? He actually will turn it around. Nocturne has to flash away. Cammy going to be going low from this one. He will actually die, and that is a 2 for 0 in favor of Next. They're just going to back straight off, but good fight.
That was a really unfortunate fight for Pain. I mean, we saw Next Impetus. Nocturne actually dove into the back on the Caitlyn, as you're seeing. The fear, locked her down. The Mumu ultimate was actually used on Nocturne and Nocturne only. And then you had Katarina, you have Wukong in the backside attacking 4 members of Next Impetus. They don't have the damage or the taking to survive against that, and they end up losing that entire fight and might have lost that slim advantage that they got. But in the meantime, go try to take down this turret. And they have to be a little careful here because they can't afford to lose anyone else.
Yeah, Pain not done there. They are actually doing good amounts of damage, down to just 600 HP. That is obviously the last turret available outside of the base for Next. Question is now, what are Pain going to go for? Dragon is up for the taking. And they will be getting this one for free. They're not going to be coming down onto it.
Yeah, well, we do see a Warmog actually completed now for Manaj on Misfortune. If she wasn't already tanky enough. I mean, she hasn't even been really pressured at all in these fights. I mean, the one fight at Dragon where she did get locked down and had bad positioning, that was the fight she's really died in. Actually, the only fight she died in, period. But now they don't have the ability to actually get to her, and if they do, they have that Shen, they have that Sona Protector. I mean, it's a good item to have, not necessarily necessary at this point, but still, it's really going to carry on as the game does progress.
We have Shirelia's now picked up in these two supports. If we look down the boots as well, it's always interesting to see when we get towards this late game because it can make a big difference when you're trying to defend your base, when you have to run in there. We've got Home Guard on 2 men, actually, for Next Impetus. On the other side, Home Guard on 3 men. Actually 2, because I can't count.
I was looking, I was like, wait a minute. But yeah, they do have Home Guard on the champions with boots from abilities, so if they ever do back to base, easily going to be able to rush back out there. We do have a Thornmail completed on Shen, which, I mean, I was talking to Jat during the LCS, and he was saying that item only got better after the Season 3 patch. I mean, they nerfed a lot of other items and stats, but that item didn't change at all, which means it got better overall. So that item's going to be helping quite a bit, especially against how much AED that currently Pain has. Katarina, the only one to really do that magic damage, besides Amumu, who obviously doesn't do too much, but doesn't really have the items Katarina needs to do, or to really be a threat at this point.
So here we go then, Pain moving their way, and here comes Nocturne. He's going to go straight on towards Katarina. Once again, BRTT gets feared into them. There's a crescendo. The bullet time came across. This is a massacre. Titsu going to go down here as well. Where is Kami? He's in the middle like, hey guys, how did that happen? I'm all full health here. I was trying to push you down. But a 4 for nothing. And when I say 4 for nothing, I mean 4 kills for 0 health taken away from Nex.
And that was the exact same fight we just saw happen last time, Joe. I'm really curious why they decided to do that. They got engaged upon, they blew the Mumu ultimate on Nocturne again, and Nocturne only. We had the backline, we had Misfortune, we had Sona, we had Rumble just attacking away, doing all the damage they can. I mean, you can't do that. You cannot have the exact same fight happen twice, especially when you lose 4 members each time.
Oh, up in his top lane. Kami was actually doing the same stuff. Actually, he's going to be teleporting away from this one. Let's see what he can do, and he's straight back into that base. So Next Impetus from that one managed to get themselves an inner turret here taken down. What will that be enough? Oh, I mean, if they keep doing that time and time again, then sure, it's got to be enough at some point.
Yeah, now they can easily afford to be aggressive. They can easily start pushing here. We do see, actually, Rodan's Death Cap almost completed now for Rumble, which goes into enough damage already. It's just going to be that much more effective. They easily could engage on these turrets because they have the ability, like I was saying the entire time, is to zone them with the Rumble Equalizer, with the Crescendo out of Sona if they want to engage. They should easily be able to push up. Pain just doesn't, they don't really have the damage. I mean, Caitlyn's on dying every time in the back, or at least being pressured, and without her attacking, with just that Wukong, just like Katarina, there's just no way they're going to kill anyone.
Well, next interesting point is going to be the Baron, which of course was last time stolen away by Pain. You have to feel that if they end up not being able to take it this time, that could be GG right there.
Even if they do, I mean, they had that fight with 3 Baronet members and still lost 4, so even with that Baron, even with that extra gold, I don't think it really is going to matter too much for them.
See the ping's already been put down. Baron already going to be started off here by Sir T. No teleport this time for Wukong. Let's see how they go about it. Actually decide to peel off from that one. Don't feel like fighting. I mean, there's no real surprise in that one that they don't want to fight that. And they are going to keep going. BRTT going to take down that ward in the back of it. That's all the vision gone until Alex comes around, sticks another one in there, and he can keep affording to do that for a little while here with that Sightstone.
We need to see Aurelia actually head towards that bot lane, push it out, or maybe push that top lane back yet again, because he still has the ultimate up to get in if he does need to. And Pain, they're just in no position to fight whatsoever. So if we do have Nexus just come around from the side, they're going to back off even without that Shen there. So that would give them a nice bit of an advantage because it would force someone from Pain to go, kind of deal with him. But they really want this Baron, Joe. As you saw on your screen right there, the Supermans are attacking away at that Nexus turret. Pain starting up that Baron yet again, but it's not going to work.
This could end up being a big fight, as we are going to see Nocturne once again dive straight in towards BRTT. Can't quite get away. Actually put the fear down on the wrong person there, but he's going to flash in towards BRTT. That could actually end up being the death of him. He's managed to kite him around. They get the kill, but they've lost 2 men in the process.
Yeah, they lost their bruisers, quote unquote, with that Katarina, who just couldn't do anything the entire fight. And actually, the Mumu ultimate wasn't up that time, but still, Nocturne, did he almost solo that Caitlyn? Because I'm looking at it right now, it's a half up. I'll check out the other part of the fight just to make sure.
The thing is, he actually put the fear down onto Nunu. In the end of the fight there, which I'm pretty sure it didn't quite mean to do. But either way, they've still come out on top of that fight. Nocturne 7-2-9. Now we've got 5-3, 14 Rumble, 6-1, 12 Misfortune. And that's what I talked about, this whole situation that we talked of earlier on. They did lose a Nexus turret, that's worth mentioning there. Obviously, Aurelia did have to use that Stan United to help the rest of his team. In the meantime, though, without dwelling on the past, let's look towards the future, because this Baron is already been taken down to half HP. Fast. They can't do anything about this.
Yeah, such a great job by Pain to notice that all their lanes are currently pushing the top, the bottom, and the middle. And with that, they're able to take that free Baron. But Joe, the real question is, can they take this Baron and turn the game completely around?
Well, look at the gold. It's 9-4. Those turrets in favor of Pain are making a massive difference here in the gold differences. We've seen a Thorn Mail being picked up actually by Shen, so wanting to return some of that AD damage, obviously coming out mostly of Caitlyn and the Wukong.
The thing is, he's not even diving for the Caitlyn. He's sitting in the backside. He's protecting his own, AD carry, his own Rumble against his Wukong and Katarina. And, Kat during that last fight, T2, he popped his ultimate. They just ignored him because he did no damage whatsoever to that Rumble, no damage to that Shen. He's not even a threat for them anymore unless someone on next to him just gets low. But who's going to get low? The only real chance is Sona, who's really positioning quite well in these fights, staying back, not getting engaged upon, and saving that crescendo for any key moments where it looks like they might potentially get that sort of advantage in the fight.
Yeah, I mean, he's got decent penetration, but he's not really putting anything through. He's got 117 AP right now, which is obviously not really helping the cause. But they've managed to get this Baron the gold. Look at it. It's less than 1,000 gold right now between these two teams.
And yet it's 23-8. It's all because of those turrets and those two Barons that's currently keeping Pain in the game. But, I mean, even as I say that, I say it with, a pinch of salt. It's just, they're not able to win these team fights. And they're based around team fighting.
Well, we're going later on into this one. We're almost at 40 minutes anyway. We can see that for Caitlyn, Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster, Phantom Dancer, Last Whisper. Over for the others. What do we have there for Wukong? We have the Sunfire Cape. We have the Bloodthirster, Hex Drinker, and Brutalizer. So he's going to be starting to do a lot more damage as well in that near future. The question is, I think it's really all about the engage here. If they can get in there and start the fight on their terms, which we saw one time down by that dragon from a Mumu, then they could still have a good chance of this one. But as it has been, Next Impetus have just had it all on their terms.
It's at the point where even if Pain does get the engage they want to, will it really matter to them? Because they're so beefy now. And Next Impetus, Next, I was talking about earlier when we were starting the game, is that, Brazilian teams we've kind of noticed is that they have a hard time closing the games out. And we're seeing it right here because, Next, they have the advantage, clearly. And yet they're not pushing that advantage right now. They do have two inhibitors, obviously free to be taken by Wukong if he wants to teleport in. But, they can always just send someone back to defend against it. And even with that person back, they should be able to win these fights.
Well, we can see that Pain once again pushing the creep wave back at Sanagan. He's going to go in there. Got the fear down onto Sir T, but the rest of his team decided, no, you know what, we're not going to go in for this one. Here we go. Curse of the Sand Mummy comes down. It manages to catch two of them. Bullet Time going across. Didn't do that much damage, but the auto attacks from Misfortune as Irelia comes in as well. They're going to have to flash away from this one next. Not super healthy, and look at Caitlyn at the back, hammering away at them. They've got to get her down. This Caitlyn has to be dealt with. Finally finished off. Is that going to mean the death of Pain from this one? It's 1-for-1 at the end. Minai against Mitt. He's going down slowly but surely in this fight. Alok's going to be chasing him away. Amumu did manage to survive, and Mitt will walk away as well. But that was a 3-for-3.
A 3-for-3 when Pain had Barret and they got the engage they wanted to. That kind of just tells the story of what's going to happen later on without that Baron buff. We did see Sir T land that ultimate on the two members this time, which is the first time in 3 or 4 ultimates out of him. He hit Nocturne with it, he hit Rumble with it, but still Nocturne got away with his ultimate, went straight for Caitlyn in the backside, which luckily for her, she has the damage now. With the Infinity's Edge, the Bloodthirsters, the Phantom Dancer, and the Last Whisper, she easily can't take him on now with the help of Nunu. But still, if you can't lock down that Misfortune and allow Wukong and Katarina to take her out right away, you're not going to win these fights. It's just that simple.
So, what do they need to do item-wise, their game plan-wise to actually come back in this one? Like you say, they've had Baron, they've got almost equal gold, they've got more turrets, they've had this inhibitor down, this second inhibitor is actually naked right now, but they can't win these fights. What do they have to do to change that?
They need that good Amumu ult and that Wukong ult to follow up. They've only had one perfect Amumu ultimate, which we saw with the Dragon, which is the fight they completely won. But they're not really working their synergy well together with those two champions. And if they can do that, that allows Katarina, allows Wukong, even allows Caitlyn some chance to get some sort of damage on Misfortune. And once she's dead, or even Rumble at this point, if one of those die, they will have the damage and they will have the takeaways to just carry out the rest of the fight. Because then you're left with the Shen, you're left with the Nocturne, who both, they don't do no damage, but they don't do anywhere enough damage to take on anyone on Pain. And that's what they need to do. Land that Amumu ultimate with the Wukong ulti, and you can win these fights as long as Caitlyn is protected.
Well, Caitlyn getting that Giant's Belt in there wants that extra survivability, but in terms of damage, got it sorted at this point.
Yeah, it's right there, a 1500 crit on a minion.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful sound. Almost as beautiful as Jax hitting a turret.
Nothing is as beautiful as that sound. That is the #1 beautiful sound. This next now starting to push down this middle, but look, they're 3 men. If they end up getting caught out here, that's just another step towards Pain maybe having a comeback in this game. If you look at the goal, Pain are actually in the lead at this point now by 150 to 200 gold.
I will kind of twist his teleport in.
Yeah. Teleports back in there. They don't want to be losing inhibitor turrets from this one.
That was huge though. That really gives Next the opportunity to push. I mean, because they know Wukong's teleport's down. We saw him use it that last time over towards that top inhibitor where he got the top turret and the inhibitor off of that. But now without that threat, without having those 2 inhibitors open, why not push? Why not be aggressive? Because there's nothing they can do to actually take those.
Well, let's see if they do decide to go aggressive from this one. Pain pushing their way up the middle. Nunu, Caitlyn gonna join in. Here we go. They could end up fighting from this one. Curse to the side. Mummy does come down. What can they do with it though? Dragon is gonna go straight into the back once again. The ultimate's flying left and right here. As Kami gonna fall low. He will drop in the end, but this is decent damage coming out of Pain. Irelia gonna take a full load as they take out Rumble as well. Now we see Shen have that Guardian Angel pop. That is a double kill. Irelia has got no chance to survive this one, and Pain getting that fantastic initiation are surely going to win the game right here, right now.
I swear, it feels like they were listening on that one, Joe, because that perfect initiate, they should be able to take some inhibitor turret, should be able to take the inhib off it, and they should easily be able to win with that 50-second spawn timer. Such a great drop out of Pain, as you hear the entire crowd chanting away at Pain right now.
Yeah, an amazing crowd here for what was an amazing game. That Nexus turret goes down. There's still 20 seconds, and that's before Sona comes into the game. And Pain are going to win this one with a ridiculously close match and go 1-0 in Group A of the Intel Extreme Masters here in Brazil.
What a comeback. You see the crowd on your screen right now. They're all excited. That was such a good way to start off day 1 of Intel Extreme Masters Brazil. Why not start off with a game that's that close? And, I mean, so close throughout the entire game. We saw Nexus just get that advantage early on, but still, they could not go up against that team fight power that Pain had, and that Caitlyn, who was just hammering away the entire fight, even ignored Shen, went straight for Misfortune, blew her up with the help of Katarina, and they took that game. What a first game of the day, Joe.
And you can see next there, they're going to be crushed from that one because these team fights were going their way, but really we saw it at the Dragon that it shouldn't technically be like that. It shouldn't be so one-sided. I think a big part of it as well was when Caitlyn really started to get stronger with that Phantom Dancer, Infinity Edge, and the last Whisper maybe more crucially there in the end, that she was able to deal with Nocturne when he came diving in there. You had then the Nunu was able to slow him down, and between them they could just pretty much destroy him. On the other side of it though, you've got a Mumu in there to get the Curse to the side. Mummy down, Wukong comes in there on the top. Katarina comes in at the top. Meanwhile, they've cleared up Nocturne and they're pushing in towards the rest of the team.
Yep, very well played by them. And Joe, I believe we're actually going to be sent over to the analysis desk very soon.
Yeah, don't want to break down too much. We're going to throw it over to the other guys there in the middle. And we are going to be breaking down a fantastic opening game here at the Intel Extreme Masters in Brazil. We'll see you soon for game number 2.
Casters there in Brazilian and in English. The analysis desk, we thoroughly enjoyed that game. Much fun was had by all. In the end, it's an extraordinary score when you look at the kill ratio, 16-27. In any normal game that we've seen in the last couple of months, you'd go, well, then the team that won 27 kills wins the match. Not this time. It's all about the turrets.
It was, and I actually really want to give props to Sir T, the jungler on Pain. He's actually the strat caller, the main shot caller for that team. And you saw them basically have a better strategy. You saw them down in kills pretty much the entire time. They won like a total of 2 team fights. but the gold was always equal. It was always very close because he stole a Baron, and they just had turrets at all times. And you know, watching it where, you know, that very first Baron steal where Wukong teleported top, it's like, well, he's going to get the inhibitor, so even against Baron they'll have map control. And then by stealing Baron, they had control of the map, and they just started kind of strangling turrets away despite losing all the kills.
So, Riv, let's go back to the very beginning of the game. No early level 1 fights, no, you know, it was very passive. I think Jason mentioned it was very passive up to about sort of 12 minutes or so in, and then First Blood came 11-10. That kicked things off, but it was so slow to start with. Both teams sort of filling each other out.
It really was. In the beginning of that game, if you go recap, if you watch it at all, there were 6 wards completely on the side of Pain. They stopped Rumble from coming down. They stopped people from going up. There were no ganks that they had. Nothing they could bring out. There were only 2 wards for Nexus side. But then as the ganks started to come in, we saw the fights kind of go in Nexus side. We saw the failed gank middle as they tried to get it with Rumble and a Mumu, but Nocturne came in with the ultimate. They had that perfectly with the equalizer as well. Able to pick that up. They kind of just held it out. It got slow again. We got up to that 20-minute game. Nocturne ultis were really helping the team. What was he now at the end? 7-1, I believe. 7-3-10.
Yeah, 7-1.
Had that Randuin's, had the Warmogs right off the bat, and he played a perfect mid game for a Nocturne. Good play. But in the end, you have a Mumu, you have Nunu, you have so much tank coming at you. And like I said, they were going to have to deal with Pain jumping on their face at some point.
So, Frick, sorry,
No,
the bottom lane was an interesting lane because Pain seemed to be having a real, well, without sort of making too many puns, they were having a pain trying to get into the base because 3 times they went in there, 3 times they tower dived, and 3 times they were murdered in there. They lost 2 the first time, it was 4 the second time, and that was just as we had that awkward pause where we both said, this might be a long game, and actually it turned out to be a very long game, so thank you for tuning in, thank you for staying with us. But they kept losing that, but at the same time, they didn't seem to matter to them. They weren't worried or concerned that they were losing kill after kill after kill.
I trust that they were concerned, of course, but their overall gameplay allowed them to sort of shrug off those losses. There's 2 big things that were really important for that. One is that they had so many turret kills, you know, and with the Baron steals, and I think they got 2 Barons to 0 that game, that they got to keep up in gold that way. The other is that when you're on a death streak, your kills, your deaths aren't worth as much gold. So you even saw the gold balloon even less from those kill differences. And any fight that went like 2-3 would actually be in Pain's favor because there's more gold to be earned by killing the members of Next Impetus. And yeah, basically what was sort of happening in those fights was that Pain couldn't really get their fights to work correctly because basically Nocturne would jump in and he'd pop the Randuins, and the Equalizer would come down, and immediately like a Mumu and Nunu and Caitlyn had to just like run the heck away and try to survive because Nocturne got all the early kills. He was 7-1. He is way tankier than Caitlyn can deal damage. He's got a ton of levels. He's going to out-damage Caitlyn just in a 1v1 anyway. And they had to like back up.
There was a fight with Nocturne at one point where he actually lost no health whatsoever. I mean, just nothing.
He just can tank them because he just was so far ahead. And on the other side, you have Wukong and Katarina who must get into melee range to do anything, and they're 2v4ing. Nocturne's holding 3 people's attention, and it's a 2v4 on the other side of the fight. There's no way they can win that battle.
So at that point in the match, we were thinking pretty much Nex have got this. It's still pretty close. The turrets count was going up for Pain. It wasn't going up for Nex, but then something changed, and that change was the moment that the Baron got stolen at the same time that Cammy backdoored that top inhibitor at the same time. That was really the turning point for Pain.
It was massive.
Riv?
Getting the inhibitor would have been amazing because that sets you up for, 5 to 10 minutes from now. We can walk our way back up here and get the game we want. But the fact that he was able to do that alone with nobody else on the team, they didn't lose any else but a Mumu, and they still had Nunu for any fights they would have been engaged on. That was absolutely perfect. And we saw Cammy getting out alive as well? Cammy died. He teleported out the second time he went down there to take it. That's right.
Yeah, but at the same time, the Baron was getting stolen at the same time. So the cameraman was going like, oh my God, what do we look at first? Inhibitor going down, the Baron going down as well, and stolen away. And Nex must have been absolutely distraught after that because surely they must have thought that this isn't going to be our day.
It's a very difficult situation to be in. I think any team can come back from that and bounce back because sort of on both sides of it, right? Pain can say, we clearly are the better team strategically. We make really good calls. Surti led us to victory. Thank you very much. And that's a really good place to be. And you're up 1-0. You kind of can measure your opponents. You know what they're going to do. Actually, we were here yesterday, and we watched them. Basically, they're watching the VODs of MYM versus Millennium. Like, okay, here's how they play. Here's the champions. Here's their play style. So they've been doing their homework, and they said, okay, we probably just need to win one more game, and we're through into the semifinals. So Pain are feeling pretty good. Now, on the other side, though, for Next Impetus, They have the same tools available for research. They know that here's this team we did really well, but they were outfighting them for most of the game. Right? They know that they are a very strong team. It wasn't like a blowout. We're like, oh, we're screwed now. They definitely have the chance to still pull this back. There is a possibility, absolutely, for them to pull that back.
Riff, do you think that it would be fair to say that Nex made a couple of mistakes which maybe cost them the game as well as Pain playing really well, and if they make those same mistakes against MIM and Millennium, they're going to find that really tough?
I think one of the hardest things to get across if it continues to happen to your team, and it's what we saw here with Nex, is that, yeah, they would win fights, but they weren't able to capitalize on anything else after that. And that becomes detrimental because your team is up. You know, we're doing great. We're winning fights. And then you get taken by surprise. And that's the worst part when you don't expect it coming, when the other team knows that they're in the position they want to be in. And that's what Pain held the whole time. They were like, here's the win right here. We're just waiting for the right moment.
I mean, they were so focused on turrets. I mean, that's the game, right? It's about getting the turrets down. So sometimes that gets kind of lost when the team fights occur and you're doing so well in those team fights.
Very big about map control for Pain this game.
Okay, so let's look a little bit further forward. MYM versus Millennium.
Yes.
That's next up. You guys are going to be commentating that. We're going to get Joe and Jason on this one, so you get the plum draw today. And then how we're going to figure that one out tomorrow. And neither of these two teams, luckily, have 6 players playing for them.
No, Jason got that one wrong.
Yeah.
Only 5 per team. And by the way, can I just...
There could be a Mord that comes into game.
Yes, 6v4 is a possibility. And can I just mention, by the way, I haven't done an ESL in a while. I love what you guys have done with this beautiful black drape.
Yeah,
the black cloth.
Yeah.
That's sort of comparable to the way that Nocturne returns home on the screen on the mini-map.
It's a beautiful image.
If you haven't worked it out by now, we're trolling Jason. So it's probably time to wrap this thing up. Thank you very much, Riv and Freak. They'll be back very shortly with our second match of the day, which don't go anywhere. It's Meet Your Makers versus Millennium, and it's coming up right after this.